Welcome to my first and hopefully annual Game Awards show. I'm still making my top 10 list, so that'll be coming out shortly, but I did want to make a video to celebrate games in general this year. Some of these games might not be the best overall, but they have certain features or aspects that I think are worth mentioning. Anyway, let's not waste any more time, we're just going to go straight into the list. Okay, so this award is pretty self-explanatory, but this one is for a game that had the best overall soundtrack, whether it had perfect ambient tones, massive orchestral pieces, or a mix of both. These are the games that wowed me this year in the music department. The nominees are Red Dead Redemption 2.
We'll need an extra gun.
God of War.
Unforgiving. No place for a boy.
Far Cry 5.
I save souls.
State of Decay 2.
Is this where you tell me?
Vampyr.
But as a doctor, I know there's worse to come.
We really got a lot of great music this year, from the weird and wild industrial-influenced orchestral pieces found in Vampyr to the perfectly eerie ambience found throughout State of Decay 2. Red Dead Redemption also had great ambience, as well as some goddamn bangers that got stuck in my head forever. Far Cry 5 also has possibly my favorite video game main theme ever. I mean, just listen to that. And God of War has a beautiful blend of heavy echoing drums and soft, elegant orchestral pieces. It's so hard to pick, but I think I'm going to go with Vampyr, just for how different it is. It's far from the standard dark ambient tones you might expect in a game like this, and instead it fully embraces the industrial setting, the classical time period, and the absolute insanity of the events transpiring. While I could have gone with God of War, this soundtrack is just so much different from anything I've heard in a while, and it is really, really something. This award is for the game that had the best world from all aspects. A world that looked gorgeous, was interesting to explore, had great lore, and was consistently captivating. Here are the nominees. God of War. Monster Hunter World. Far Cry 5.
Cult will never break us.
Still in England, isn't it?
Vampyr.
Take your place among the bearers of the lamps.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
States after us. They chased us from the west, they chased us.
Now, the obvious choice here may be Red Dead just due to its massive size and level of detail, but don't sleep on the others. Vampyr had the most unique world by far, with a 1918 London covered in darkness and destroyed by a plague. Far Cry 5 also had a really organic feeling world that was just super fun to roam around. Monster Hunter World was no slouch either, with a nice set of creative environments to make your monster hunting even more enjoyable, and God of War with a great sense of scale and great lore. And while Red Dead definitely has the most detail, I think I'm going to have to give it to God of War, with Red Dead being a close runner-up. The reason why is that, well, I mean, God of War is a great looking world on the surface, but it's just how connected everything is that makes it really special. There are so many details that connect every piece of the puzzle together. Whether it's a story bit, a part of the lore, a hint at something that's going to come in the future games, it's just a very well structured and refined world that works together so seamlessly, and it feels completely real. This one is about the games that just nailed the visual presentation. Whether it was pure graphical fidelity, attention to detail, lighting, or just general style. The nominees are Spiderman, Red Dead Redemption 2,
Civilized.
Ashen, God of War.
Close your heart to their desperation. Close your...
All these games look amazing, with God of War's enchanting environments and massive sense of scale. Spider-Man's lighting did a great job illuminating the beautifully recreated New York, and Ashen totally nailed a mystic, semi-medieval, low-poly art style. But the winner here is Red Dead Redemption 2. The level of detail in every object is insane, and the textures are easily the sharpest I've seen on a console. The heavy amount of post-processing and effects may have a detriment to the input, delay, and control, but they certainly add a great sense of atmosphere to the game and help it look stunning at all times of day. This award is for the game that I thought was the best from a design standpoint, taking into account the level design, the gameplay mechanics, the narrative structure, and the overall flow of the game. Here are the nominees. Hitman 2, Spiderman,
Please stop!
God of War, Vampyr.
Allies. And even fewer options.
Now, some may notice that Red Dead was missing from this list, and yes, that was on purpose. For all that I love about Red Dead, I think it has a few conflicting design choices, and the mechanics just aren't that good. In contrast to that, Spider-Man's mechanics were so good that it was incredibly fun and satisfying just to swing around the city. Vampyr also had a really interesting and engaging character interaction system, and Hitman 2 easily gave you the most player freedom out of anything this year. All these games did something special, but God of War did everything special. See, God of War is one of the few games where there is not a single weak aspect. Gameplay is phenomenal, the story is great, the game flows well, the world is awesome, and it creates a perfect blend of linear and open world gameplay. God of War is easily the winner here. Now, before we get into the last real award, I want to give a shout out to the games that just let me down this year. These games disappointed me by either being just flat out terrible or not as good as I was hoping. The nominees are A Way Out, Thieves,
Fallout 76.
But it was built by...
Now, Fallout 76 is an abomination, and Sea of Thieves should be considered a heinous, violent act towards the gaming community as a whole, but the winner here, or well, rather loser here, is A Way Out. See, this game intrigued me by its unique split-screen presentation and the promise of creative, never-before-seen mechanics. The fact that critics gave it an 80 on Metacritic also added a little bit of hype behind it, but when I eventually played it, I just found every aspect of it to be mediocre. The story was just a poorly written ripoff of classic movies, and while the gameplay had interesting ideas, they never made it past a tutorial level of complexity. In the end, it was hard to feel any impact from the game's climax because I didn't give one shit about either of these paper-thin characters. It's not bad, but it damn sure is mediocre. It takes the award, however, because I really expected a bit more from this game. I mean, even if the gameplay was mediocre, I hoped the story would prevail. But alas, we got this janky-ass game instead.
Get ready to lose, boy.
I'm gonna win.
Ah, you know I'll win.
What is this? Oh no. Now we get to the Big Boy Award, my favorite narrative of 2018. If you know me, you know I like my stories in games more than anything, and we got some good ones this year. Not quite as many as I would have liked, but the ones we did get were terrific. The nominees are Vampyr,
has called for a second great hunt of our kind, and they will stop at nothing.
God of War,
Past, he is your son, and he needs his father.
Red Dead Redemption 2,
Do you have my back? Always, Dutch.
Vampyr is a game that I think is seriously underappreciated, as it has an engaging world, a fantastic interconnected web of characters, and solid side stories and lore that all come together to create a really engaging narrative. God of War tells a pretty simple story, but it does it in a fantastic way by making it all about the characters in the world. Kratos has a lot of internal issues to deal with, and the relationship between Kratos and his son is just terrific throughout the entire game. But the winner here is Red Dead Redemption 2. For all my issues with the game's mechanics and control, the story is just phenomenal. It has some of the most interesting and smartly written characters I've ever seen in a game, and goddamn are there some moments that just punch you in the gut. It's a little drawn out through this long-ass game, but it is a fantastic journey overall. Well, that does it for my 2018 Game Awards. My top 10 video will be coming out soon, where you can find out what my game of the year is, as well as my other 9 favorite games of 2018. Thanks for watching, and what is wrong with you, IGN? Biggest games in 2019, my ass. We have Doom Eternal coming out, so just put that on all 5 of the things. We also have Metro Exodus, Gears 5, and there seems to be a good chance of both The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 coming out. So, whoever put this list together, in the immortal words of the second greatest basketball player of all time, stop it, get some help.